Monsters Inside, the 24 Faces of Billy Milligan is certainly an interesting title, and this Netflix docuseries sets out to examine the case of Billy Milligan from the late 1970s. Milligan claimed that he had multiple personalities inside him, and that these were to blame for a string of horrible crimes that he committed. It was a case that captivated America and remains a source of fascination to many, even today. Being a Netflix docuseries, all the usual Netflix documentary tropes are present. The slow-moving drone shots, the talking heads being interviewed in weird locations, the faux slideshow transitions of archival photos. The only thing missing is a timeline. And in this case, a timeline actually would have been quite useful, as this story covers a period of 30 to 40 years. There is probably an interesting story here, but if there is, it's overshadowed by the frenetic, hyperactive editing. There's always something jumping, sliding, or flicking across the screen with light leak transitions. In the non-talking head segments, nothing is on screen for more than a second at a time. There's so many cuts, zooms, shakes, focus pulls, and flares, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was some film student's project where they dumped all their newfound skills into every single scene. Add to that the distracting locations of where the talking heads were interviewed. Yes, what you see on screen right now are actual screenshots from the documentary. And overall, that meant that the story was well and truly lost in the production. Why on earth would you choose locations and angles and lighting like this? They are utterly ridiculous, and if this hadn't all been part of a serious story, I would have thought it was a parody. On top of all that, the series is in too much of a rush at the end. I think they jammed nearly 40 years into the final 2 episodes. As mentioned before, without the appearance of the usual Netflix documentary timeline graphics, it was pretty hard to keep up. The final nail in the coffin for this series was the irony of the people being interviewed bemoaning that the victims were forgotten in the wake of the interest in Milligan's alleged condition. Yet the series itself barely spends any time at all or gives hardly any information on its victims. It was weird to observe this from the outside. There's literally people on screen saying how awful it was that the media and the news watchers were more interested in Milligan and his condition, and whether or not he was telling the truth, that his rape and murder victims were forgotten and pushed to the side. Yet this is exactly what the docuseries itself does. The victims barely get a mention. In the end, this docuseries might just be the one that starts me considering seriously whether or not I will watch another Netflix docuseries. Once again, serious subjects are hyped up into entertainment and not taken seriously. And once again, it drags things out over many episodes when it could have, or should have, been a lot shorter. With tighter editing and storytelling, this could have easily been a 90-minute or 2-hour documentary film.